All right, welcome back. I thought I'd do another quick video. Somebody made a comment on the previous video that I put out today or yesterday. And they asked about kind of rotation options for this crypto cycle. And I actually, when I'm out here in the front of the house, I actually wanted to show a couple months ago, I was talking about coming down here after the hurricane, just to kind of survey what happened. We were really lucky here. We didn't have any major damage to the house. We had a couple roof tiles come loose and, a little bit of leaks, but that got fixed. But what disappointed me, and actually this is kind of stuff that money cannot replace easily. It can't. Some things money can't buy. Behind me, you'll see, I don't know, you probably don't remember from previous videos I was doing this spring and last winter. There were a ton of mature trees along the fence, and the hurricane just took out like 7 or 8 of them, which is really disappointing because you can buy a new tree, but it's going to take 20 plus years for those things to get big and mature like they used to be. So that's the biggest loss. Anyway, so enough about that. I want to talk about rotation options for those of you that are fairly new, and just to recap some stuff for those of you that have considered rotation in the past. What is rotation, first of all? Well, it's basically just means that you make a decision to sell off some of a particular trust or a stock, whatever you own, and then you rotate that money into something else that you think has potential to increase in value. So, and this, you can leverage this in the crypto cycles because different cryptos and different trusts, different crypto related assets don't always pop off at the same time. So as an example of this, well, here's the basic premise of this. It is a lot easier for a given trust or a stock to do a 10x than it is a 50x. Doing a 50x is like pulling a miracle. Doing a 10x is still a damn good return, but it's not like a super miracle in crypto, okay? So by that measure, if you achieve like a 10x in a given trust, like a LTCN or BCHG, and you decide to sell some or all of your shares off of that trust, you can rotate into another trust that still hasn't popped off yet, that you think is fairly capable of getting at least a 5x. When you do that, you get a 10x from the first investment, right, that you sold off, and then you get a 5x in the next. The net result of that is a 50x return. So, the first investment, you got a 10x return. Second, you got a 5x. Both were fairly doable in a crypto market. A 50x is much more difficult to get. Not impossible. It's definitely doable, especially for people that got into like the trust at the bottom of the bear market. Absolutely. Because they've already achieved like a 5 to 10x already from where we sit right now. So they're gonna, I have no doubt, see a 50x in their investments. Just my opinion, not a guarantee, obviously. None of this is financial advice as always, but that's the way it works. In terms of opportunities for rotation in this cycle, if you were to have asked me 6 to 12 months ago, I would have said the following in terms of like what are the most likely paths that you could take to rotate would have been to go from LTCN and BCHG into some of the secondary trusts is what I've called them, the smaller trusts like HZen, ZCSH, ETCG, and Mana. Those are 4 trusts that Grayscale has, that they're smaller liquidity, but they're lower cap altcoins, or they're related to lower cap altcoins, which usually the last cycle popped off later than Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. Now, is that going to happen again this cycle? Who the hell knows? I don't know. And I also nobody knows like exactly when, how much time you have between when things pop off, right? Let's say you were to achieve, from where we are right now, you were to get like a 10x return in BCHG or LTCN. And you were to say, I'm good, I'm gonna cash out a portion of my shares, whatever that is. And if, say, HZen or ZCSH or ETCG or Mana, for example, hadn't really popped off yet, you could roll some of those profits into those trusts and try to get the gains that hopefully are coming from those. Or you could go into, if you still think that crypto related stocks like MicroStrategy or Coinbase still have room to run, You could go in there, you could go into Bitcoin miners. There are several of them, and they don't all, they like, based on last cycle, if you look at the price charts of these things, this is where you have to do the research. They didn't all pop off at the same time. Some, kind of popped off about the same time that the altcoins started their general run up, right? But some took off later. And if that repeats, you could leverage that, right? And just take advantage of the crypto cycle, which only comes around once every 4 years. So it's like, if it's boring as shit investing in normal index funds and growth stocks, in my opinion, in comparison to crypto. So you're going to be really bored probably with investing after this run. So I look at it, I'm going, well, try to make the most of it. You don't always know the right moves to make. There are some risks, and obviously selling off a trust or a stock or whatever, no matter how much you sell, because you never know what's going to happen after you sell. Usually what happens after you sell is it does a moonshot, and you're like, shit, I shouldn't have sold. So you have to be happy with whatever gains you've gotten in when you decide to sell some off, right? And you also have to have a reasonable assurance that whatever you're rotating into is going to go up versus down. Generally in the crypto market, like if something hasn't taken off yet, you're probably going to be okay. I think it was Caesar who said in one of his more recent videos that no matter what you invest in the crypto market, basically in the crypto cycle, right, when we have a bull run, unless you're investing in complete shit coins, like meme coins that are just highly risky. But if you just go into something that's like proven, like Litecoin or like Horizon or Zcash or whatever, chances are pretty good that you're going to get like a 3x, 5x, 7x, whatever. You're going to do well. And those might not seem spectacular in terms of what you can do in a crypto, and they aren't in comparison to some that just do an absolute moonshot, but they're still way better than what most people can get just by investing in like an index fund or investing in Microsoft or Apple or Tesla or whatever. It's just like a 3x return in a relatively short period of time is pretty damn good. And if you get like a 10x return out of one trust or one stock and you rotate, then you're good. Like if you had invested in MicroStrategy in the bear market, it was like $20 or something. Well, you've already achieved like a 10x. So some people probably have, sold off some of their MicroStrategy at a 10x, right? That's a pretty good return in like the space of a year and a half. Not bad to do 10x. And they've rotated some of that money then into those profits into something else, maybe Grayscale, maybe Bitcoin miners, maybe something else. It's a smart thing to do. We all do rotation in one form or another, even if you don't think about it, because you're rotating at least into cash, right? When you sell, you're rotating from a stock or a trust into cash, which is stable, and then you rotate usually into something else like an index fund. So we all do rotation, we just don't think about it that way. So this is like the rotation I'm talking about is sort of like, it's fast-paced rotation. Things happen really quickly in the crypto bull run, and you have to really pay attention to what's happening with the prices of the underlying native cryptos if you're in the Grayscale trust, to kind of plan your moves. So, and you have to be flexible too, because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. Like with this crypto cycle, the timing of things, we're off to a delayed start, right? I talked about that. And so we don't know. There's a risk. I don't know how big it is. It's not really a risk. It was just kind of a loss of opportunity. If the LTC and a BCHC trust take off about the same time as like ZCSH and HZen and stuff like that, then we don't have the opportunity to rotate because they're all moving at the same time. But if you get the opportunity when things move at a different time, and that's where you have to kind of calculate and do some calculations as is this good or not. Now, if you were in a tax-free environment, like you were in an IRA, there's absolutely zero tax implications for you, in terms of like short-term capital gains taxes, right? Sometimes there is. Got to move here, we got a delivery coming. But there's no implications in an IRA. So you can you can sell things very quickly, right? And not have to worry about losing out on long-term capital gains. If you're in a taxable account, well, then you really have to do some calculations and figure out like what your tax hit is going to be. Because if you move too quickly, like say you were to sell some LTC and a BCHG at a short-term capital gains rate, and then you're moving the profits, after-tax profits, into another trust or another stock, whatever, and then you're going to sell that also at a short-term capital gains rate, you might have been better holding your original trust and stuff longer if you could have achieved a long-term capital gains rate. So I can't give you guidance on that. You know how long you've held your shares and all that kind of stuff. But this is something you have to take into consideration, like the tax implications, because really what you're looking at is like the net profit, not the gross, the net, because taxes are going to come for you. But if you're an IRA, it doesn't matter, right? You can play the game a lot easier, which I really like. So I like that in my Roth, my son's Roth. I'm going to play the game of rotation to the best of my ability. I don't know that I'm going to make all the right moves at all. I will share the moves that I'm making, whether they're right or wrong. Whether you want to follow them or not, I will share them on Discord. And what I'll probably do is also make a video on YouTube. Maybe delay it by like a day or two, but I'm going to give the Discord people kind of a heads up if they want to follow along. I don't know that that would give them any advantage, but I see that as sort of being a perk. Like if you're a member of Discord, Discord is still open. We reopened it. So if you want to join, there's a link in the comments. Some people say that when they try to go to the link, they get a message that says, you know, the link is expired. I found that for whatever weird reason, it does that in some browsers, but not others. So people are still joining. Like usually Safari works pretty well. Doesn't cause issues with joining, like on, at least through my iPhone. People are still joining, so the link still works. I don't know why that error message comes up, but if you want to join Discord, you can. If you don't, no worries. Some people don't like the Discord discussion group, whatever, that's fine. But if you do, it'll be there. I'll post it when I do some rotation stuff, probably fairly quickly. And then I'll come out with a video maybe like a day or two later or whatever. Depends on how busy I am. I'm gonna be busy as shit. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm installing Grayscale, I'm installing native crypto. I've got business stuff going on. I got a bunch of stuff going on in life. But I'll be doing videos to hopefully give you guys guides if you wanna follow along. And like I said, I'm not gonna have all the answers. Don't listen to me, I'm just a guy on YouTube. But I'm trying to make, like I've done the calculations as to like what the potential is from my perspective. And if we have offset timing on the trust, especially if you give like 3 or more waves of offset timing, the returns can be absolutely crazy. Like for example, if I were to sell LTC and a BCHG off at like say a 10x return from here and be able to achieve a 5x return in the next trust I move into, and like say even a 2 or 3x in the next one, well, that's 100 to 150x return total. Like that's a lot. It is very difficult and challenging with that in mind to achieve a 150x return in a single given trust or stock. Very difficult. That is a tremendous run up. But when you daisy chain investments together with offset timing, this is what you can achieve. Now that again is like a very naive calculation, right? It's a tax rate calculation. When there are taxes involved in a taxable account, you don't get those kind of returns because you got to pay the tax man. So you got to do those calculations yourself and figure it out if it's right. And this is why, like I've said, like you should come up with a game plan. The best thing that we have to go on, and it's not concrete, right, is what happened last cycle. And last cycle is not going to repeat exactly the same this cycle. Obviously, we're off to a late start. But at least gives you an idea of like when certain trusts popped off and when certain native cryptos popped off. Because not all of the trusts that are present now were present at the start of the bull run last cycle. For example, Mana, HZen, ZCSH were there for part of the cycle, but not at the start, I don't think, from what I remember. So But looking at the past, what happened in the past gives you an idea of the potential that exists. And I would also urge you to, if you're considering this, if you don't want to go into small Grayscale trusts, you could go into Bitcoin miners. There are several of them. I mean, Marathon and Riot are the big ones, right? Or some of the big ones. But there are a lot of them. And I can't remember what it is. I put a little bit of money into a small miner. I can't remember their name right now, but they're like considered a penny stock. So when I bought it, Fidelity was like, "You're at risk. This is a penny stock," and I was like, "Okay, whatever," because somebody had pointed out that it really did a moonshot later than some of the other crypto miners, and I wanted to buy just a little bit of it, so it was sitting there in my brokerage account as a reminder to me to look into that as a possibility of putting some money into that as maybe a late cycle investment. Things can be completely different from cycle to cycle. Last cycle, Solana was a very late mover. It, I'm thinking that like, and now I don't have the chart in front of me, obviously, but I think it didn't move till like summer of 2021 is when we hit our peak for Solana, if memory serves me correctly. And that came that way after the altcoins. So if you were in, for example, Litecoin or Shiba Inu or Doge or Zcash or whatever, you could have taken your profits from those native cryptos, rolled those profits into Solana, and gotten that additional bump from Solana. This is an example of rotation. You don't have to do rotation just in a brokerage account. If you want, take some of the cash out of your brokerage account, put it into native crypto if you want. Like if that's your thing, and there are sometimes greater potential out there. I mean, the native crypto market is like, you got so many options to choose from, right? I would just urge some caution. Like, if you're gonna gamble on brand new stuff that's got a lot of hype around it, I wouldn't put too much in there, because a lot of times they're scams, or they can just go to zero very quickly, or they can lose a ton of value. And I learned this last cycle. I got into some things like Saitama and Kishu Inu and a couple of the Inus, and they did really well, and then they absolutely collapsed, and I didn't cash out before that happened. That was a good learning experience. I didn't put a whole lot in there, which I'm thankful I didn't. But again, I try to learn like from the past, like what happened, and try to do a little bit better the next time. So here we are at the next time, the next cycle. So, and I'm looking to do the same thing in not just like my brokerage account, but maybe my native crypto portfolio too. I might do that. I hate the taxes with native crypto, and that's one of the things I don't like about it. And they're changing the freaking rules again. Something came out. I haven't like researched it in depth, but there's like safe harbor shit that you have to like file for your native crypto taxes. Here's what I'm kind of looking at doing, and it's not the best way of doing it for taxes. I'm just sort of like, fuck it. I sort of look at my native crypto portfolio as like free money, so it's not everybody looks at it like this, but I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna cash out of my native crypto positions, and I'm going to like do the ultimate tax proof or audit proof method of things, because I have a lot to risk, and I'm not gonna risk stupid shit. So I'm just gonna claim everything as being a short-term gain with a basis of zero, and pay like an enormous amount percentage-wise in terms of taxes. And I don't care, because I'll have made so much in crypto natively that it won't matter. But for some people it does. So that's not the smart way to do it necessarily. It's just the way I'm going to do it, because I'm so irritated by the taxes and regulations related to native crypto. Now once I do that, it's like I'll do some rotation, and I'll again pay like the max tax rates in the US. And for me, between state and federal, that's pushing on 50% or so. And I don't care, because like you can make a ton of money in native crypto. You can make, sometimes it depends on what you go into, just incredible returns. But I don't know, it's up to you. Anyway, that's some stuff in relation to rotation. Hopefully, like if you hadn't heard about that before, I figured I'd put that out there. Somebody had asked about that. And again, even if you're thinking about it, you might want to reevaluate like your plan, because we do have a delayed start. The question that I have is our LTCN and BCHG going to pop off at approximately the same time as some of the other secondary trusts, like HZen or ZCSH. If not, how much of a delay will there be? What opportunity will there be? You know what I mean? Like if LTCN and BCHG do like a 5X from here, I'm gonna be sitting, you know, in a short period of time, I'm gonna be like, what do I leave it in LTCN and BCHG? Do I sell a little bit and try to move to something else that I think has like an immediate like 5 to 10x return and then try to hop around? I don't know. But like I said, I'll be sharing what I do in terms of rotation in my IRA account, my son's IRA account. And see, if you want to follow along, you can. But just trust me, like I'm not going to make the right moves. Probably. I'll do moves hopefully that will benefit me and my son, but I don't know. Nobody has the right answer, or you don't have a clear answer up front. We always have hindsight, and that's always 2020. We know what we should have done, but when you're in the thick of things, you don't know where price action is going to take you. So anyway, just to recap before I end this, rotation is moving between assets. We all do rotation, whether you think about it or not. You're rotating to cash when you cash out, and you're rotating to index funds or ETFs or growth stocks or whatever. But this is like a fairly fast-paced transition when you're trying to hop from trust to trust or trust to crypto-related stock like a Bitcoin miner or whatever, back and forth. You got to pay attention to what's going on with the price action, and I guess choose your path accordingly. It's this whole life and investing, but life as in general is like a choose your own adventure style thing. For those of you who are old enough to have read those books, I loved those books when I was a kid, but you just never know what you're gonna get. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. If you have questions about this stuff, post a comment. But like I said, I don't have answers right up front. Generally, I would think that the trust would kind of follow the same schedule that they did last cycle, or for the trusts that weren't in place, that the trust would follow the natural, normal cycles of like the underlying cryptos like Horizon or Zcash, stuff like that. But you never know. It's crypto. Anything can happen. That's why you gotta stay on your toes. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, you guys take care.